Daniel Whitaker had spent the last 15 years constructing an empire with the precision of a watchmaker. At 42, he was the CEO and founder of Whitaker Dynamics, a mid-sized tech firm specializing in AI-driven logistics solutions that had quietly revolutionized supply chains for half a dozen Fortune 500 companies. His net worth hovered comfortably in the nine-figure range, though he never flaunted it. Luxury for him meant ergonomic chairs, a private gym on the top floor, and coffee imported from a single estate in Ethiopia. His days were scheduled in 15-minute increments, his decisions data-backed, his relationships transactional. He had no spouse, no children, no close friends outside the boardroom. Vulnerability was a variable he had long since eliminated from the equation. That Tuesday morning in late autumn, the executive suite on the 28th floor smelled faintly of fresh citrus cleaner and the low hum of anticipation. They were hiring for a senior operations strategist, a role demanding flawless analytical skills, ruthless prioritization, and the ability to thrive under pressure. The shortlist contained 5 candidates, all pedigreed, Ivy League MBAs, former McKinsey consultants, one ex-Amazon executive. Daniel had personally reviewed their resumes the night before, cross-referencing LinkedIn profiles and performance metrics. He liked patterns, predictability. Chaos had no place here. The first candidate of the day, a sharply dressed woman named Rebecca Lang from Chicago, had just left after delivering a crisp 30-minute presentation on predictive inventory modeling. Daniel had nodded politely, asked 3 pointed questions, and thanked her with the same neutral warmth he extended to everyone. As the door closed behind her, his executive assistant, Priya, poked her head in. "Next is Marcus Hale in 10 minutes. He's running late from LaGuardia. Flight delay. Shall I push the schedule?" Daniel glanced at his watch. "No. We'll move to the next slot." "Who's after Hale?" Priya consulted her tablet. "That's actually the last confirmed. The others canceled or rescheduled. We have a gap until 2. He exhaled through his nose. Gaps irritated him. "Fine. Tell security to send whoever's waiting up. If it's a no-show, we'll close the morning block." Priya hesitated. "There's one walk-in. A woman came in about 20 minutes ago, asked about the strategist position. She doesn't have an appointment, but she insisted she saw the job posting online and wanted to speak to someone directly. I told her we weren't taking unsolicited. Send her in." Daniel cut in, surprising even himself. Perhaps it was the caffeine, or the mild annoyance at the disrupted rhythm. Or maybe some buried curiosity about what kind of person would bypass protocol so brazenly. 2 minutes. If she's wasting time, I end it." Priya disappeared. Moments later, the door opened again. The woman who entered was not what Daniel expected. Mid-30s, he guessed, with dark hair pulled into a practical ponytail that had begun to loosen at the temples. She wore a navy blazer that looked slightly too large at the shoulders, perhaps borrowed or bought secondhand, and black slacks that had been ironed but still carried faint creases from being folded in a drawer. In her left hand she clutched a thin manila folder, in her right nothing. No phone, no briefcase, no portfolio case like the others carried. Her eyes, hazel, tired but alert, met his without flinching. "Mr. Whitaker?" Her voice was soft but steady, carrying the faint trace of a Midwestern accent softened by years elsewhere. He stood out of reflex, gesturing to the chair opposite his desk. "Yes. And you are?" "Emma Callahan." She sat, placing the folder carefully on the glass surface between them. "I saw the job listing on your careers page last night. I know I don't have an appointment, but I drove 3 hours this morning because, well, I needed to try." Daniel leaned back, fingers steepled. "We have a formal process, Miss Callahan. Resumes submitted online, screening calls, then interviews. You're aware of that? I am. She didn't apologize. But sometimes the best people don't make it through the filters. I figured if I could get 5 minutes, I could show you why I'm worth the exception. Bold. He almost smiled. Almost. You have 3 minutes to convince me this isn't a mistake. Go. Emma opened the folder and slid a single sheet across the desk. It wasn't a resume, not the glossy, bullet-pointed document he was used to. It was a handwritten list, perhaps 24 lines, each beginning with a date and ending with a result. 2009 to 2012, night shift warehouse associate at FedEx Ground. Promoted to lead after 6 months because I redesigned the sorting layout and cut misroutes by 22%. No formal training, just observation and asking questions. 2013 to 2015, single mother, newborn son. Left warehouse job to care for him. Took online courses in supply chain basics during naps and night feedings. Earned certification in Lean Six Sigma Yellow Belt. 2016 to 2018, logistics coordinator for a regional food distributor. Reduced delivery delays from 18% to 4% by implementing route optimization on Excel before we could afford software. She continued down the list, each entry sparse yet precise. Managing a team of 12 drivers during a labor strike, negotiating vendor contracts that saved $87,000 annually, voluntarily leading safety training that dropped incidents by half. No degrees listed. No corporate jargon. Just numbers, actions, outcomes. Daniel scanned the page twice. This is unconventional. It's honest, she replied. I don't have the pedigree. I have results. And I have context most candidates don't. Context? She met his gaze evenly. I know what it feels like when a shipment is late because someone's child is sick. I know how a driver feels when overtime is mandatory and daycare closes at 6. I know the human cost behind every efficiency metric. Most strategists optimize for profit. I optimize for people and profit. Both can coexist. He felt something shift, subtle, unwelcome. Curiosity had become interest. Tell me about the biggest failure on this list. 2021, new ERP system rollout at my last company. I was project lead. We underestimated user training. Adoption stalled at 41%. Cost overruns hit $240,000. I took full responsibility in the postmortem, recommended delaying bonuses for leadership, including mine, until we recovered. We did recover. By Q3 the next year, utilization was 94%, and we had saved $1.1 million in redundant processes. Daniel tapped a finger on the desk. You punished yourself? I held myself accountable. Same as I would anyone else. Silence stretched. Outside, the city droned. Inside, the air felt thicker. Why here? He asked finally. Why Whitaker Dynamics? Because your company is growing faster than your processes can handle. You're acquiring smaller firms, expanding into predictive analytics, but your on-ground execution is lagging. Turnover in logistics ops is 28% higher than industry average last quarter. I read your shareholder letter. You mentioned human-centered scaling. I believe I can help make that real. He stared at her. No one had ever quoted his shareholder letter back to him in an interview. Not like this. Before he could respond, the door opened without a knock. Priya appeared, flustered. Mr. Whitaker, I'm so sorry. There's been a mix-up. The walk-in wasn't supposed to. Marcus Hale just arrived. He's in the lobby now. And security says Miss Callahan wasn't on the list. Daniel looked at Emma. She hadn't moved. No panic, no embarrassment. Just calm waiting. Send Hale to the conference room, Daniel said. Tell him we'll be 20 minutes late. Priya blinked. Sir? 20 minutes. Go. The door closed. Daniel turned back to Emma. You have 20 more minutes. Impress me. What followed was not a conventional interview. It became a conversation, raw, unscripted. Emma spoke about raising her son, Liam, now 9, alone after his father left when the boy was 18 months old. She described nights balancing spreadsheets while he slept on her lap, mornings driving delivery routes with him in the car seat because daycare fell through. She admitted fears of failing him, of burnout, of never climbing out of survival mode. Yet every story circled back to solutions, how she turned constraints into innovations, how empathy informed efficiency, how she refused to see people as line items. Daniel listened, really listened, for the first time in years. He asked follow-ups he hadn't planned. How did you negotiate that vendor discount? What metrics did you use to prove the safety program worked? Why didn't you give up? Because giving up wasn't an option, she said simply. Liam watches me. Every choice I make teaches him what's possible. When the 20 minutes ended, Daniel didn't want it to. He stood, extended his hand. Miss Callahan, Emma, I'd like to offer you the position. Not as a strategist, as head of operational excellence. Reporting directly to me. Her eyes widened fractionally, the first crack in composure. You're serious? Deadly. She didn't jump at it. I need to think about salary, benefits, flexibility for Liam. School pickups, sick days. Name your terms, he said. We'll make it work. She exhaled slowly. Then yes, but on one condition. He raised an eyebrow. You let me audit your current logistics dashboard first thing tomorrow. No sugarcoating. I tell you exactly what's broken, and we fix it together. He laughed, a short, genuine sound he hadn't heard from himself in ages. Deal. The news spread through the company like wildfire. By lunch, whispers filled the break rooms. The CEO had hired a walk-in single mom over Ivy Leaguers. Some called it a PR stunt. Others suspected favoritism. A few quietly hoped it meant the culture might finally change. Emma started the next week. She arrived at 7:45 with Liam in tow. He had a half-day at school, and a backpack full of notebooks. She set up at a small office near operations, not the executive floor. She insisted on shadowing drivers, riding along on routes, eating lunch in the warehouse break room. Within days, she had mapped inefficiencies no consultant had caught, redundant handoffs between departments, outdated routing software ignoring real-time traffic, a bonus structure that rewarded speed over safety. She presented her findings to Daniel in a plain conference room. No PowerPoint, just printouts and a whiteboard. Your company is hemorrhaging $1.8 million annually in preventable delays and overtime. But more importantly, you're burning people out. Fix the people part, the money follows. He stared at the numbers. How long to turn it around? 6 months for initial wins. 18 for transformation. Do it. She did. Over the following months, Emma became the quiet force reshaping Whitaker dynamics from the ground up. Drivers reported feeling heard for the first time. Turnover dropped 14% in Q1. Predictive models improved accuracy by 19% because ground-level input finally informed the algorithms. Board meetings, once sterile, now included Emma's voice, calm, data-driven, human. Daniel watched her closely. Not romantically, at least, not at first. He watched with something closer to awe. She balanced motherhood and leadership with a grace he envied. She brought Liam to the office on occasional afternoons. The boy would sit quietly drawing while Emma reviewed reports. Once, during a late strategy session, Liam wandered in, sleepy, and climbed into her lap. She continued talking about throughput without missing a beat, stroking his hair absent-mindedly. Daniel felt an unfamiliar pang, something like longing. One evening in early spring, after most of the office had left, Daniel found Emma still at her desk, reviewing a dashboard. Liam was asleep on the couch in her office, covered with her blazer. "You should go home," Daniel said from the doorway. "Soon. Just one more query." He stepped inside, closed the door. "You shocked everyone that day, including me." She looked up. "I shocked myself. I never thought I'd get past the lobby." "You didn't just get past it. You changed the entire building." She smiled faintly. "We changed it. You listened." He hesitated. "I almost didn't. I almost sent you away. But you didn't." Silence again. Comfortable this time. "Emma, thank you." She stood, walked over to Liam, adjusted the blazer. "Don't thank me yet. We still have a long way to go." He nodded. "I know. But for the first time in years, I'm looking forward to it." Outside the window, the city lights glittered. Inside, a single mother who had walked in by mistake had begun rewriting the rules, not just for a company, but for a man who thought he had everything figured out. And that, in the end, was the real shock. Sometimes the most powerful transformations start with the simplest mistake, a wrong name on a schedule, a door left open, a moment of curiosity instead of dismissal. Emma Callahan didn't just get a job. She reminded everyone that humanity belongs in the boardroom, that strength isn't measured only in degrees or titles, and that the most unexpected people can carry the most extraordinary wisdom. Months turned to years. Whitaker Dynamics became known not only for its technology, but for its culture, an outlier in the tech world where work-life balance wasn't a slogan but a practice. Emma's initiatives were studied in business schools. Daniel began mentoring young leaders, many of them parents, many from non-traditional backgrounds. He even started a scholarship fund for single parents pursuing certifications in logistics and supply chain management, named after Liam's favorite cartoon character. And Daniel? He slowly dismantled the walls he had built. He took weekends off. He learned to cook simple meals. He attended Liam's soccer games, sitting awkwardly on metal bleachers beside Emma, cheering when the boys scored. Friendship deepened. Respect turned to affection. One rainy evening, after Liam had gone to bed, Daniel stood in Emma's small apartment kitchen and said the words he'd never imagined saying. "I think I'm falling in love with you." She looked at him over her coffee mug, eyes soft. "Took you long enough." They laughed. They kissed. Life continued, not perfect, but fuller. The story of the mistaken interview became company legend. New hires heard it during orientation, the day a single mother walked in off the street and changed everything. Some called it luck. Others called it fate. Emma called it persistence. And everyone, absolutely everyone, was shocked in the best possible way.